Hello, I'm NP. Assetto Corsa Rally was released about a month ago. It just came out of the blue sky, as opposed to the typical game releasing, preparations, just like spreading news about the release, years before the actual release date. Hello, GTA 5. So, Assetto Corsa Rally was announced just 1 month before the actual release of a public beta, early access. So, make no mistake, it's not a full game yet. Considering this and how much of a flop EA-WRC was around the release date, mind you, sold as a 1.0 full game. Okay, for the nitpicker, there was a very brief early access period, 3 days before the actual release. Anyway, about an early access game you don't suspect too much. Full of bugs, just a skeleton of the future game. In the case of, for example, Assetto Corsa Evo, a little bit sketchy physics, but in the case of an early access game, and if you decide to pay for this game, there is no need for, big drama, because it's a public beta. By giving money for an early access game, you just accepted the terms. So, when I pulled the trigger on Assetto Corsa Rally, I didn't suspect too much. And this game was, well, a disappointment in an absolutely positive way. So even there are only a few cars and a few tracks, still the very first early access version of Assetto Corsa Rally is a completely functional tech demo of a great rally sim core. And it's much more than I suspected. Setup and tweaking took about 30 minutes, I guess. And I started my first test run. And around the first corner I started to grin until my face cramped. The way this package works, well, I don't have too many insights about physics. I'm neither a real-life rally driver nor a guy with a physics PhD. All I can tell you is that it feels great, both from the aspect of a real-life normal driver and from the point of view of someone who played rally games a lot. The way the car works totally makes sense. All the rally driving mechanics that you could learn throughout a lot of games can be applied here just like immediately. The different car types give realistic feedback and behavior. I'm saying this based on real-life experience. I've already mentioned that I'm not a race driver, but still, I'm old, so I had all the car types. I started to drive in something like the Fiat Abarth 131, and if you drive this in Assetto Corsa Rally, the characteristics of a real-wheel driven car are immediately recognizable. The same goes to all the car types. So that's bloody impressive. So this sim, even in an early access phase, it's a great driving experience. As of graphics, well, I'm an old schooler, so if cars were Tetris bricks racing on, pixel art track that has trees shaped like in Tomb Raider 1, Lara Croft's boobs, triangles, but it still feels like driving a car, I would be fine with that. But of course, if it looks a little bit more detailed, it doesn't hurt. So, Assetto Corsa Rally compared to DiRT Rally 2.0, that was the champion of graphics in my opinion, well, Assetto Corsa Rally is the next step in the evolution, especially if it's compared to EA Sports WRC, that was a step back. On a footnote, I don't want to bash that game too much, but facts are facts. It took 1 year to get into the shape. That's fun to drive, but still falls miles behind the early access of Assetto Corsa Rally. And for some reason, I don't know, the new Javelin anti-cheat system rendered this game unplayable on my system. Maybe it has nothing to do with this Javelin anti-cheat, maybe it's just some Windows 11 fuck-up, I have no idea. But when I tested older rally sims and I tried to compare to Assetto Corsa Rally, well, when it came to EA-WRC, a pop-up screen appeared when I tried to start EA-WRC saying a new Javelin anti-cheat system is installed, please register, whatever, and the SSD containing the game detached from the system. And it just didn't return, not even after a system restart. To cut it short, I tested it in another computer and it worked. I moved it back to my gaming computer and it worked. And well, I started EA-WRC again. SSD detached, and it didn't appear after system restart. So, my honest opinion about it, well, dear EA, for the kernel level anti-cheat system called Javelin, please fuck yourself. Sincerely, MP, a simple gamer. So, back to Assetto Corsa Rally, that's great. Well, it was bloody impressive from the first minute. And it's not even the start because it's a beta, virtually. As of buying it, I think if it was just a tech demo, I would say, okay, that's some great stuff. It feels amazing to drive. Take my money, I'm interested. Of course, as a game, it still has to prove itself as time goes on to provide a strong offline and online racing framework. It needs further optimizing and tweaking, of course. And the content, well, for the moment it's quite minimalistic, but it will grow. The game developer Supernova Game Studios, in partnership with Kunos, the owners of Assetto Corsa brand. So these guys to me seem to be very transparent and clear about updates, directions, and they are very open to the community. So I'm curious about it and sort of excited. The driving experience is amazing, right, even in early access. So does it feel a little bit like Richard Burns Rally? No. It can be the same way ruthless and uncompromising. That's great, but it's pretty different to drive. I think Assetto Corsa Rally is more leaning towards a real car behavior. As of DiRT Rally 2.0, that's sort of far from a real car driving experience. But on the other hand, its strength is that you can keep the car in a quite wide limit zone compared to real life. So it's a little bit larger than life driving experience, but this is the exact thing that makes DiRT Rally 2.0 my most favorite rally game. Gravity is, for example, not like what you have in the real life. Depending on the track, but it's like a more 3D experience. You can fly into the corners. I think in real life you probably spend less time in the air. And as far as I can see, these modern day rally tracks are safer in a mean. That means flatter, more predictable, as they should be. You know, people seem to forget that after the death of Henry Toivonen and Sergio Cresto in 1986, that ended Group B, the most crazy, most insane cars in rally history. Regardless, the following years, I mean up until 1990, 8 more rally competitors lost their lives, driving much slower cars than Group B. So even if rally is wild, still tracks must be as safe as possible, as flat as possible, as predictable as possible. And a good simulator has to reflect that. And Assetto Corsa Rally certainly does it. Okay, I don't use scripts, so I'm all over the place, just say what's on my mind. But anyway, Assetto Corsa Rally is great. I think it has a potential of becoming the prime rally sim, surpassing both Richard Burns Rally and DiRT Rally 2.0, the kings of the field, in my opinion. Still, there is a very long way until that. It's not complete, it's not fully featured, and it's not perfect. Well, one thing came to my mind, and it's not annoying, just funny. Mind that the brakes on my stock Mitsubishi Colt Turbo feels 5 times more efficient than the racing brakes in Assetto Corsa Rally. So there's a lot of work to do, but it will be very exciting to experience the development. But still, as of an early access rally sim, Assetto Corsa Rally made a bloody impressive entry. So that's all for today and for 2025, most probably. NP out. See you somewhere in time.